So here we are in the garden. I'm Eric from Marcia Garden, and this is one of my favorite times of year, January, when we finally get these daffodils that have been here forever, and they're slowly taking over this whole bed, and I'm helping them spread throughout the garden. They're one of my favorite flowers because they just thrive here on neglect. You don't have to do anything. They've been here ever since I've started back in 2018, and they're just a wonderful surprise here in the middle of winter in the Mediterranean climate. 90. They do really well here, and they spread like a weed. So that's the kind of flower and plant that I like to have in my garden. Ones that are low maintenance and don't need a lot of attention. So this is a bit of a garden update here in January. I wanted to show you some of my favorite things this time of year in winter and give you a peek at some parts of the garden. In spring, I plan on doing another full tour. So you can see all the things that I've done over these past, how many years is it now? 4 years. I've been here since about 2018, September 2018. And I haven't been working on this full time. I would say that most of my time here has been observing, slowly planning out things, trying to figure out the water. And now I think I finally observed enough and have the confidence that I will start ramping up into larger production, planting out trees, maybe in like a sort of syntropic system or a permaculture triad on a mound. But those are projects all up and coming, and I want to show you some of the things that I do have now, some of the mistakes I've made at the beginning. So here I did a hugelkultur mound, which I don't recommend for anybody that's in the Mediterranean climate. Hugelkultur isn't the best idea for Mediterranean climate. It was a big mistake. I had just started learning it, but it does all right. There's some daisies that have established here. It's just a big mound of weeds right now, and there's a few native plants. Like I think they call this a rabbit's ear around here. I'm not sure of the name. And plus it's not even on contour, so it's not capturing the amount of water that it needs to. So there's one big mistake. We all make mistakes. Here's some of my favorite plants that are doing well now. The bananas. This is a banana. It's winter. Usually they're all torn up, but the winds haven't been too bad this year. Today's starting to pick up a bit more. Another kind of, I think this one's a white bird of paradise. A banana plant, just really young. I salvaged this from my neighbors. They were thinning theirs. And actually I had tried to compost this big root system in my compost, and I had noticed that it had sprouted something, so I decided to plant it out. There it is. Survivor. Let's go to some of my other favorite plants this time of year. When I first got here, this milk thistle, which is closely related to artichoke, was well established in this area. And what I did, I noticed that they were so drought resistant and that they could deal with any amount of drought, and they just love the area. So I noticed that, and I started spreading them out throughout the garden. And now I have them dotted throughout the garden. I take these seed heads every year, and I spread them further and further away from the house. And that way, I'll have like dots of little architectural plants that are low maintenance, are producing biomass. They're an excellent edible plant if you know how to cook them. I'm not a good cook. I don't know how to cook them correctly yet, but I hope to learn. There's a lot of things that I can forage here, but I'm still not good at cooking the way they should be. There's lots of forage things like borage, this milk thistle, which you eat the leaves of. What is the other one? Oh, it's like another plant I'll show you later. And these are all forageable plants that you can eat. And I'm sure somebody that knows what they're doing can find much more around here. So as you can see, I'll just show you some of the milk thistles. They're well established now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here's a huge patch over here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 more or less. 13 of these milk thistles that slowly have started to establish throughout the garden. And I love them. They produce these wonderful purple flowers in, I think, June. May, June, maybe even July, and they're just is my favorite. It's a go-to plant. I'll quickly show you my composting bays. Another day I'll do a full video on these. We have one bay. It's a bit carbon rich. This one is a bay that has finished. Well, it's a rough finished compost. I don't think I have right now I'm not at capacity to do a full finished compost. But I'm really happy with the results here. Very carbon rich. This will be a great mulch for under trees. And just really establishing those fungal webs. So I'll be spreading that out soon. Have another one active and an empty bay. So those, for me, it's really tough to get enough material to fill these. I think in future projects I'll be growing material just with that purpose of filling the compost base. This is really a surprise for me, a surprise addition this year, because Moringa has always, I got this about, I think 2019, and this tree has done really well sometimes, but this is the first time that it's survived this late into the winter. Normally come fall, it gets battered by the winds and it's not able to withstand with the wind chill, I think it is. But I think it's finally established enough roots. It's happy where it is, or maybe we're just we're experiencing such a warm winter this year that it was able to survive. Let's see if it makes it all the way through to February and March. And then we'll have a nicely established Moringa tree here, because this is only growth from 1 year. from one season, sorry. Every year before that, it had died back. And then here I have Bougainvillea. Earlier in the winter it was full of flowers. Now it's starting to cut back on production. I planted this, I think, 3 years ago. And the first year it did horrible, but then it got established and it's really spreading like the way it should and starting to climb. I'm going to train it to go all the way up that pillar and the other pillar over there on that side. On there. Typical Mediterranean aesthetics. Bougainvillea. You can't live in the Mediterranean without having one of those. And here's a guava tree. I've just planted it out. I think it's white guava. It's a bit sad. I planted it here, close to the house to protect it from wind. We'll see how that does. Now we're gonna go down a bit further towards the chickens, and I'll show you what I've got down there. You can see here, electric fence that I've got, turns on at night, protect the whole area from wild boar. So far in winter, they're not doing so bad. They haven't come, but I think the threat for me so far has been in summer when they're really stressed for water and food. It's in the middle of drought, and they come looking for any wet spots, like where I have drip irrigation, and that's where they can find some more life in the soil. It might be a bigger problem for me these years as I do more and more regenerative agriculture. My soil, compared to other soils, neighboring soils, is going to be much more full of life. So the wild boar will probably be coming here more and more looking for food. But for now I've got the electric fence. It's keeping us protected. In the long run I would like to do either a fenced area or a drywall fence or a gabion. I'm not sure. It's quite an expensive endeavor to build a fence, but for now I've got an improvised one and the electric fence going on. Here are Fava beans, row of Fava beans and drip irrigation. This is one of the few vegetables I grow right now because my watering system is not ready for full production of vegetables. Come March, these will be ready to eat. So let's go down further. There's my abandoned neighbors, full of olive trees. I was surprised the other day to find this. This must be some corn that had popped up from the chicken feed. And we're in December and we have corn. It's really surprising, but it's no good. I'll just use it for biomass. But at first I thought it was sorghum or Sudan grass because I had planted a lot and it looks very similar. And a few weeks ago I saw that it was corn. Here we are. The corn's right next to Loquat. The fruit are starting to mature. Those also are ready to pick come March. It's first year fruiting. It's only been in the ground for less than a year. Let's continue on down. I have my chickens on a rotational system. Here's some more Sudan grass. Rotational system with chickshaw. I built this chickshaw from scratch using upcycled wood that came from a storm that devastated a lot of the beach infrastructure here in Peñiscola, Spain. That was in 2020, I believe. So the chickens are there doing their work. And while we're here, I wanted to show you the succession that is going on of land, because you have here these like dandelion plants. These are very typical indicators of what? I don't know, but I know that they are a very typical indicator that of compaction. Usually when the soil is compacted, the first weeds that come through are the ones that have strong taproots. And there's evidence. This section up here closest to the house has been worked recently by a tractor. One day my neighbor took his tractor and worked this area, and that was about 2 years ago. And now I'm strictly no-till. Well, maybe not in the garden yet. I don't have enough compost to do no-till in the garden. But in all the pastured areas, I'm going into regenerative no-till. I think this is like a weed. I think it's called plantain. Also an indicator of compaction. But while here, there's lots of these indicators where the tractor had gone through. If we go further down, well, here's more dandelion mixed in here with lupin and chicken feed. I have an avocado tree. I'm in a sad state right now, but later ask for help on that. Now, from this point on, the chickens have been through here. I'm going on 1 year with the chickens. A little bit more than 1 year. I got them in November 2021. So a bit more than a year now. And the chickens have ran all around. I've done the full rotation in this whole area at the bottom. So this is their second time on this area, and if I move them over again, it'll be the second time over there. But here is where the results are starting to show. That now all the grasses are starting to dominate, and that's what I love about these kinds of practices, that you can really quickly turn around the system just in a short amount of time, 1 year, and you'll see a marked improvement. Before, this land was traditionally always cleaned with a tractor. Cleaned or worked, tilled. Instead of letting it go foul for a time and then working it when you need it, it was, whenever there was any weeds, it would be worked. And just to keep it clean. And we have a great experiment going on here, because on this side we have we have a completely abandoned one where those taller grasses dominate, which I actually quite like. They're good biomass generators, and I have them in some parts of my decorative garden. You can see there those holes the wild boar have come through. Here's my improvised fence to keep them out. But what I really wanted to show you is this part down here. I'm really happy with it. It's full of grass, ready for the chickens when they come down. This part in summer. Here, this is the plant I was talking about before that could be foraged. It's, I think, chard. You can eat the leaves. It's like a kind of spinach. They're called acelgas in Spanish. Great with garlic, potatoes. Those ones I know how to cook quite well. And let's move down a bit further. Oh, I was saying that I have a great experiment because this one's abandoned, and then over there, on the other side, I'll show you later, is a field that has recently been plowed just to keep the weeds out. And it didn't last long. It's been less than 6 months, I think, and the weeds are already back. The pioneering species are back, penetrating the ground. While on my side, there's more trees popping up by themselves, more grasses. Everything is, the succession is happening quickly. And especially since I got the chickens. So here, look how lush the grass is down here. Well fertilized now. The chickens have come through here. This is the area that has been the most time in no-till, because for some reason this part never got worked. And let's see, you can really tell the difference. These lush grasses creating a great mass of biomass, building the soil slowly. There's a diversity of plants here. Borage. In March we'll have lovely flowers. This is from the Malvaceae family. And I have lots of mulberry trees here. They popped up on their own, volunteers. I leave them here to accumulate biomass and to give shade to the chickens in the hottest part of summer. So I always plan on the chickens being down here in July and August, because they have not only the shade from these mulberry trees, but also the shade from this building here, over there, which is essential. It's really hot here in Spain. All of this was just dry land. You can look at some of my previous videos and you can see how dry it was in the middle of summer. And once we get our rain, things will be alright. Hopefully, as time goes on, I'll be able to secure a water source and get enough irrigation here that will push some of the plants through the dry spells in summer. But for now, dry pasture is fine. There on the other side you can see. But you can see that it's much more full of weeds than our side, which is where grasses dominate. Over here you can see how much the grasses dominate here. I think this is sorrel. I don't know how to use it, Probably another foraging plant that you can use, but I don't have the knowledge. This olive tree is another volunteer, just as a biomass accumulator for now. And you have to be careful with when rotating your chickens, because here you can see that I had them too long, and a lot of weeds are coming in through. Well, they're not such bad weeds, but they're all right. I think just too much nitrogen got put into this part, and the grasses are not dominating now, or all the grass seed got eaten up. I'm not sure, but I had them here too long. I need to keep them a maximum of 3 weeks in one spot, and then keep them moving, because it's not a very big flock of chickens, but they, in 3 weeks, they'll knock everything down. Oh, and they've found an egg. Eating eggs. I need to fix that. Got lots of broken eggs lately. Well, so I think that's it for today. Another day I'll do a full-on tour where I show you plant by plant everything I've got. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe, like, and follow me. I've got a lot of exciting projects coming up, and especially one on 1,000-year-old olive trees, which is very unique to this area of Spain where I am. And well, just keep in touch if you want to be notified about that. It will take me a while, maybe summer or maybe even fall 2023, but it's quite an ambitious project that I'm doing. So keep a lookout for that, and we'll be in touch.